What's new today? SEC just files a letter asking that they would like to file an interlocutory appeal regarding the programmatic sales, offers and sales to buy XRP. That actually shows you they would like to continue this going, but immediately you get this response from Stewart highlighting the fact that SEC does not have the right to appeal just yet, which is why they are asking permission to file an appeal. Now, what is more, Ripple will file its response in the court next week. Now, that in itself is huge. How did the market react? Immediately, there was some panic, the prices dropped, but right now it came back up. So the market is starting to understand the fact that this is not about whether XRP is a security or not. This is about the programmatic sales or the sales and distribution from Ripple as a company. So they are trying to connect it one way or the other in an investment contract. But, even if you buy the XRP, you do not have an investment in the company or there's no contract. That means XRP is not a security, and that's now being reinforced, and the market is about to take off. If you look at the fundamentals and the way things are evolving in front of us, it just shows it's massive increase. 57% increase in the institutional side of thought process from 49 million to 76 million, and that's just in one platform. So across the board, they all understand the fact that this is the future, and Ripple and XRP ledger is at the center stage of the CBDC environment. It's easy to read these lines and it's easy to understand while you read between the lines, and things are moving towards this direction. There is no doubt about that. But the primary question now becomes okay, what does the market show us? Does this look bullish? When you zoom in, it does look bullish. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, when we look at these price action, there can be doubt okay, what the hell just happened? We just dropped. Yeah, we did. We went and tested 0.66 a couple of times. We slowed down, made a lower high on a short-term horizon. We corrected back down. The trend line is valid. The price came back down to that trend line and bounced. So 1 is a short or micro trend line. 2 is a micro horizontal resistance. 3 is this trend line, which has been valid from last 1 month. So now you broke higher, you came back down, you retested that, and you're bouncing. That's positive in itself. So if you zoom out to understand, okay, what the heck is happening, you would actually see still you have a formation which is bullish, showing an engulfing candle on a 3-day chart is bullish. Now, yes, the macro will always go back looking at Bitcoin and asking the question is this trending higher or is it breaking the trend to the downside? As of now, Bitcoin is holding on to that trend line and it's bouncing higher. What does that actually mean? That means it's respecting the pattern, it's respecting the trend line as of now. We want to see a break higher, about 29, say 30K, and that means you're now eyeing a target close to $31,000, $32,000. And that would actually say okay, this range has been valid from some time, and that support resistance zone is being attractive. Once you see the price above 31,500, it's going to be literally interesting. The market right now is trying to digest what SEC is trying to do. You do have some assets running up, but you have a lot of other assets correcting back down. So there has been some panic which entered into the market. But if you zoom in and try to understand what's happening, this is the reality. Short-term volatility, short-term narrative is there for sure. But what you do keep in mind is this has been the trend line. We broke higher. Great. And the momentum is still increasing. So if we try to watch for what's next, you're going to see whether the momentum is increasing from this level. If it actually bounces from this point onwards and make a new high, that means the momentum is actually going parabolic. What do I mean by that? If you actually drop a curve here, it's much easier to understand. So let me actually remove all those and bring this perspective back in. So if you actually take a look at what's happening inside the market is showing you there is a possibility. Now, if it bounces from this level, that's going to be a super bullish narrative where you see the climbing movement of price action. We usually call it the ladders to the sky. And, as the price goes to the heavens, you need to see how much volume come back in. And that's where I'm really interested. I'm really watching at this price action saying, okay, if you actually look for what the bears were doing, these time horizon, we had volume, but right now we have even higher volume in the bullish side of things when you're forming an engulfing candle. So that in itself shows you bulls are stepping in, which is positive. Now, we have not yet got the candle close. So if we go back around 0.66, 0.67 and close, that's going to be bullish. The only way this gets erased is if the price action goes below 0.636 and close below that. That would mean, okay, we need another candle to push higher. But remember, nothing has changed on the macro. There has not been a negative indication on the monthly. There has no negative movements on a weekly. You are still moving to the upside. Your trend is to the upside. Trend is your friend. And when you actually look at the market and ask questions like, okay, some of these assets are breaking higher, some of them are dropping. What do that actually mean for me? You look at, say, XDC, which is a payment asset. If you actually zoom in on what's happening in the trend line of things, there is no doubt that this asset has actually broken through an accumulation range. There is no doubt in that. And if you actually ask similar question like, okay, what do that mean? This is a trend line. I mean, no one here argues the point how a market moves. If you remember, if you spend time learning how the market works, this is how the market works. It goes up, but in between, it would do this phase. It would do that cycle, whether it's the macro or micro, you will watch that. And that's exactly what's happening. If the price action shows you that it is doing something like that, what can you do? What can you learn from that? If you go back in history and plot this is what you actually see. What does that mean? You bounce up, you go back down, you bounce up, you go back down, you bounce up, you go back down. And the moment you get rejected here, okay, now a new trend is starting. You need to find the median for that trend and follow that. Right now it shows here the trend is to the upside and the trend formation is a macro trend formation. So that's just one asset. And if you actually go in detail in the market, there's a lot of different assets showing you that the breakout has happened. If you go on a macro, say you put a monthly chart in and use this chart to understand how things are evolving. And it goes back to a time where you had this phase, where it was the accumulation, you broke higher, you came back, you retested that and bounced off. So the initial run up, yeah, it was decent run up of 400%, but the next one after the retest happens to be a 20x. That's 5 times bigger than the first breakout. Now, come here, look at what's happening here. You have an accumulation range, you break higher, you come back to retest it, and you're bouncing higher. If that doesn't look bullish to you, I really don't understand what will convince you to become a bull in this market. This is just one asset in the payments industry. Now you have a ton of assets in the entire market. Then you have payments, smart contracts, metaverse, AI. AI is getting a lot of volume. Keep your eyes focused on that because it's showing you massive opportunity. Look at this volume. It's the monthly volume in one asset. Now you go through multiple, say especially the AI side of things, you're going to see interesting assets showing you interesting price action. Now, say you don't actually take all this. You're a trend line guy. You just follow the trend line. What else you need to see? This is trending higher. It's trending heavily. So the next bounce, it may do a 50x. It may do a 100x. I don't know. But the way it shows, the bulls are entering here. That's massive. What does that mean? whenever you get a 30, 40, 50% correction, in my opinion, I think that's going to be a buying opportunity in the market. If you go look at the price action, when it drops 30, 35%, that's an opportunity. You go back in history, you would like to learn from the history. We all would like to do that. 40, 50% down, and then it pops. Gain 40, 50% down, it goes up. If that's the trend which we are watching in a lot of these assets, you should understand the fact that XRP, XLM, or any of these assets which you have in your portfolio, watch what's happening. If that's showing you a massive run up, keep an eye on them and understand, okay, if the price action drops 30, 40%, that's a huge opportunity. Here it has already dropped 32%. That for me in itself is bullish, fine. But that doesn't mean it cannot drop more. It can actually drop 40, it can actually drop 45%. Why? Because this level of previous support, which turned into a resistance, is here in this range. So if the price action comes down to that range, I would say that's a huge buying opportunity. Now, unless you're a micro trader, that doesn't impact you. What you're trying to do is reduce your cost basis. And in a time when everyone is looking to make some money, we all understand the fact that not a lot of people take profits from this market. Even if you stay here for 3 to 5 years, we know that not a lot of people understand the top or take some of the profits out. Right now, there is no time to make errors. This time around, there is no mistakes. It should be that way. Because if not, the market may not give you another opportunity. If you follow this asset, especially, XRP, XLM, all of them are showing you similar movements. You had the first roundup, it bursted to the upside. Now you have something exactly similar going on. And if you neglect this fact right now, in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, when you pop through and you see 10, 20, 30, 40x in price action, you would regret. So this is the time when you should understand where's your average. Is it at the bottom? Is it somewhere close to the bottom? Because if so, that means you're watching for a massive run up. If wave 1 does something like that, what do you expect wave 2 to do? I mean, just imagine the price coming up here, and that would highlight the fact that you should be a macro bull at this range. After a break higher, if the price end up above this range, putting a new all-time highs, that means this asset here is showing you a macro question which you should ask to yourself. If that's a rounded bottom pattern, which is a cup and handle, that means now you have a massive ROI structure. That's a 25x after the break from this range. That goes crazy. That's nuts, considering where it's starting. So it's just one asset showing you macro range. Till the retest here, you have a 10x. And if you actually plot a 25x from there, now you're talking about 200, 250x. That's in one asset. That's why we are following a lot of these assets, the macro, the micro, understanding how these market moves, when to take profit, because some of these actually drop heavily. If you go look at the assets which actually dropped, some of them, they have breakout calls and we told to take profit. Skim your profits. Why? Because we would see all these assets doing these 30, 40, 50% micro correction. That's where if you take profit, you can buy back, you can average down, you enter double down in that position. But if you don't, it's okay. Take the profit, wait outside, look for another asset. And if you are looking to do that, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. Now, jumping back onto XRP, we just talked about XDC, XLM. All of these are payment tokens, whether it's the retail focus, whether it's the wholesale focus, great. But the narrative right now is weighing on XRP. The narrative right now is increasingly weighing on XRP ledger and the ability to do wholesale transaction with the central bank digital currencies are coming out. Whether we like it or not, it's coming. And that means the adoption for this asset is about to skyrocket, and you're literally watching that it can do much bigger runs. And that may not happen in a 30-day frame. It may not happen in a 60-day frame. You may need 3 to 6 months waiting here patiently. Why? If you actually look at a lot of different assets, you do understand that we respect trend lines. And that's exactly what's happening here. Great. That means when you had a break in this range, the price moved up. So if this range is broken, what do you think is going to happen? You do have multiple resistance as we go up. One would be around $2. Next one would be around $3.8. Say last all-time high is going to be a resistance. The recent local top is going to be a resistance. But after that, it's going to be nuts in the price action. Because the trend line which the price action is following is here from some time. If you understand what that means, now you would agree with the fact that, okay, there is no going back. This is a macro structure where the price action is grinding to the upside. This is a macro structure where your measured move is monumental. You don't really want to miss these moves. I mean, yeah, it does look at 16x, which may not feel big, but that 15x comes from the breakout. So you take those and that actually takes you to $15, $16 XRP. And remember, when the price action goes to the upside, the FOMO comes in. Last time in 2021, you didn't actually have a lot of big exchanges participating in the FOMO for XRP. This time, it's different. Things changed. What does that mean? You're going to see massive volume coming into this asset as it goes up. If you are looking to chase the green candles, good luck. If you're a position trader, you would like to get positioned in an area where not a lot of people are looking at that. The price is low, you bought in. That's what this range was about. 0.35 to 0.5 was one of those range where you could have adopted buying in, accumulating, and then let it run, let it reap. Because as soon as it actually breaks these roof, you will see FOMO, which would be an institutional FOMO this time. You will see retailers jumping in for sure. You'll see people selling cars, house, and dropping money here. Don't do that. That's why accumulating slowly over time is important. But I think that phase is over now. Here onwards, you're going to see this trend higher. You're going to see the momentum increasing. What should you do? Have a proper plan to take profits. Because if you don't, someone else in the market would do that. Whether it's the institution, whether it's the bots, whether it's another retailer, those who have averages down at 0.3, 0.4 level, at $4, they're already 10x. At $8, they're 20x. They will take profits. So you don't have to think, take profits when it's there. If not, it may not end up correctly. And if you are thinking about updates on a regular updates of where the divergence are forming, where you should take profits, I would argue you can have those edge in the market following this link here. So that's it for today, guys. Please do hit that like and subscribe button if you received value for your time. I'll meet you guys in the next video. Bye for now.